The idea that women have a biological clock is starting to be dismantled. I'm so excited about this research. Human eggs don't accumulate as much or as many mutations with age as we thought. So all of this shame about, well, you better settle down, you're getting older, is not as correct as we've been told. What we do know is that men's sperm, as they age, becomes less safe to reproduce with. Essentially, everything women have been taught to keep us small, to keep us settling, to keep us putting up with bad behavior, to keep us from all the things, is being dismantled now that we're finally studying women and actually seeing the truth. Like now we know that pregnancies that are not safe or healthy genuinely come down to the male sperm and how healthy the men are 6 months to a year before fertilizing her egg. Choose your partners wisely, women.
Remember, your biological clock is ticking.
So you read a singular bias study to help you cope with being barren, and you're using this as an excuse to bash men, right? Yeah, well, that makes sense. If only we had decades worth of concrete research proving that the older a woman gets, the less fertile she becomes. Oh, wait a second, that's right, we totally do. And that doesn't change just because you conveniently came across the one study that magically aligns with your fifis. I mean, the very first thing you do once you come across this info is to somehow blame us for not being good enough for you. But answer me this, sister. Let's go ahead and pretend that you're right and none of us meet your standards. So what does that say about you? 30 years on this planet and millions of good men, and you still can't find one to fit the bill? Come on, woman, you must be doing something wrong here. Women have been getting with dudes for literally thousands of years, and you somehow figured out a way to screw it up so badly that you've guaranteed that no men will ever want to be with you. But hey, look on the bright side. You figured out a way to have your confirmation bias keep you warm at night. And good for you, because it's the only warmth you're going to feel for the rest of your life.
Good philosophy. See good and bad, I like.
My pet peeve is when a bisexual woman is like, I'm dating a man, ick, gross. Because I'm like, wait, if you're dating a man, you should think he is like the prize of men. Like, you should think he is like best man ever, nailing the formula. You, being bisexual, you have the option to date not a man, and you're electing to date a man who you're kind of saying is mediocre, gross. Well, every time I've dated a man, I've truly believed at the time that that man was like the best person ever. I believe that that man is like absolute angel, awesome, smart, cool, whatever. Like, I was like, if I'm choosing to date a man over these other options, like, I better be obsessed with him, completely in love with him, absolutely obsessed. Like, hello, you as a bisexual are dating a man and you're not immediately being like, this is a perfect man, this is perfect, he's perfect. Then why are you dating him? Like, you're just admitting that you are choosing kind of a mediocre, gross person over other options, which is like not the cute look you think it is.
You don't know what words mean, do you?
Here's something interesting. When people claim to be bi, they quite literally double their chances of being able to bond with another human, and they still figure out a way to screw it up so badly that nobody wants them. And even in the event that it doesn't happen, the bi woman will either hate herself for being attracted to a dude, or the entire bi community will band together to hate that woman for being attracted to a dude. The gatekeeping has gotten so extreme with these people that they claim this is the path to true happiness, but they spend their time to try and make everyone as miserable and lonely as possible. And then we have broads like this here who are bisexual and date men and claim that those men were absolutely perfect. Yet they're still single. Woman, you're in no position to be making any claims because you've proven that you're so undesirable that neither one of the genderisms is going to take you seriously. Now, I personally don't care if you're straight, bi, lesbian, or whatever. I mean, it's your life. You do you. But it's not a good idea to imply that you represent the entire part of that particular spectrum when you've clearly botched up your life so badly that you have to add emotionally crappy generic music to try and drive your point home.
Botched, though. I botched that one. Oh, that's a botched job.
It's not okay to make jokes about women belonging in the kitchen to little boys, and it's not okay to tell them that they should never be emotional because that's not manly, because these things have real life repercussions. Do you guys understand that? Like, you guys don't get that your way of churning out profit and just selling ideas to young men has real life implications for them. These alpha male podcasters are dangerous because they've become the exception and they're convincing men that they're the rule. Like, not everybody has your upbringing. Not everybody had a dad who literally pushed them to the physical extremity activities that got you that successful career and whatever the you did, okay? Not everybody had that life. And yet you guys are convincing these young men that they don't have to go to college, they can just end up like you. They can be a big baller like you. Like, no, not everybody has the ability to become that successful from where they started. Not everybody can do that. And I don't think these red pill male influencers understand how their words and their actions can have real life repercussions, okay? There are young men out there who now think it's okay to verbally abuse women, who now think it's okay to harass them, who are now doing horrible things, like they're just becoming terrible versions of themselves, right? And it's all because they believe some wrestler who became a billionaire. You get what I'm saying? Like, that is not realistic.
All right, let me get this straight. It is unacceptable for successful men who work their asses off to impart advice to lost and confused young men to try and be successful in their own right, but it's totally fine for you to demand that men become successful just for you to possibly consider allowing men to take you out on dates. I mean, how in the hell does that work? And what problematic behavior are you talking about here? Because from what I've seen, most of the people who follow this content are more focused on working out, eating right, and enjoying their lives through building and learning to appreciate their peace. We're not out there bitching that women don't want to date us because we stopped caring years ago. Now, I do get where you're coming from here. You watched a 30-second clip from Fresh and Fit, and now you consider yourself an expert. But if you were truly an expert, you'd know that we don't offer burnt sacrifices to those podcasts. They just get the most exposure. We're actually some pretty cool dudes who think for ourselves, and that's the one thing that terrifies you because it's the one thing you can't control. And that's enough for you to get your overpriced panties in a bunch. And don't worry, we're not gonna joke about you being in the kitchen, because there's nothing funny about setting your entire apartment complex on fire.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh. Oh. I took my sister's husband. I actually took her last 3 boyfriends, plus her husband. And I'm gonna let you guys know why. I don't feel bad remotely at all. I don't feel bad at all. Her last marriage, clearly he wasn't the one for her if he was willing to cheat with her sister. But I stole my sister's last 3 relationships and her husband because I can. Literally, because I can. I don't feel bad at all. When me and her were younger, she was always the prettier sister. She was always the sister that had the good grades. She was always the sister that had this and that and all the friends. And I didn't like that. So I started making it a point that she's not the prettier sister, clearly, because if she was the prettier sister, she could keep a man. And all of her men all end up talking to me.
That's nothing to be proud of, Rusty.
Well, of course you don't feel bad about it. You'd actually have to have a soul in order for that to be possible. I mean, I get it. Nobody likes living in the shadow of their siblings, and there's plenty of households out there that have that horrible dynamic, but come on. Have you ever considered that maybe the best payback is living your life and making your own success despite them? Of course not. That's because you're lazy and entitled. You could have gone out there, met a good guy, and lived a happy life on your own, but that's not happening. Let's just be real here. By doing what you did, you're just proving that your sister is truly better than you because you accepted your sister's sloppy seconds. Now, I'm not trying to downplay toxic upbringings here. It can really do a number on you, but when you fight toxic with toxic, all you're doing is proving that your family won because you're incapable of personal growth. You're so fixated on petty revenge that you lowered yourself down to their level, and that just proves that you're not an adult. You're just a child stuck in an adult's body.
And I think it's a bunch of bullshit. The rest of the family is finally over me, and they think I'm horrible because I just broke up her marriage. It took a while to get her. It took a while to get him, and they've had a couple kids together, but he was on a bad path, and of course, it's really simple to steal a guy these days. Like, as soon as they have a hard day, they're willing to cheat, and he cheated. But this time around, I ended up pregnant. Luckily, I did the stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't keep it. I would never keep a baby. I didn't want her husband. I just wanted to piss her off. But yeah, I don't know. My whole family is mad at me now because of it, and they think I'm this horrible person, and they think I need to go get a mental evaluation. I don't think so. I think I grew up having to be in this girl's shadow, and now she can grow up in my shadow.
On any other day, that might seem strange.
So what in the hell were you expecting, lady? Everyone to flock to you with their emotional support and admiration? You manipulated your sister's husband into sleeping with you without protection and then broke up her family. And you did it with the explicit purpose of spiting her. That's not something a normal, rationally minded person does. Now, I will agree with you. There really is no point in getting a mental evaluation because even if you did, you're just going to deny the results and justify what you did because you refuse to bother to grow up and move on with your life. That's something you can't do because you have no empathy. Now, it is true that some siblings are bastards to each other. It's been known to happen, but woman, that doesn't excuse what you did. You chose your purpose in life, and that purpose was just to hurt the people around you, and that's kind of messed up. And as an aside, I feel kind of bad because I hear your accent and I was immediately not surprised. So all you're doing is giving people with that kind of accent a bad name. You're promoting stereotypes and making me feel like a jackhole for judging people with those accents, which means you're not only a horrible person, you're also exploiting the racisms.
You need to face the fact. You're a racist. A racist. You, not me. I'm not the racist.
Greetings, this is Dougie, Lock the Bounty Hunter's Emergency Copyright Protection AI voice program. We here at the Lock the Bounty Hunter program do not endorse Sabrina Carpenter music when it's used in such a disgraceful manner. Such things make me want to feel like to puke.
That's why I praise the Lord for prostitutes.
You know, with Halloween right around the corner, I think it's weird that broads are thinking it's appropriate to turn slasher movie villains into something sexual. But we really can't be surprised considering this is what modern women find exciting. And it's times like this I can't help but want to head over to Skeeter's house. So get this, we had just finished up our NES Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Gauntlet where you had to beat the game with only Raphael, and we started talking about Skeeter's 8 dozen pallets worth of cinder blocks that he had at the edge of the property. We didn't want to do a cinder block hammer throw because we already did that last week and the cleanup was kind of a pain. But like a ton of cinder blocks, we were hit with an idea. 2 words. Obstacle course. Now, we weren't sure if we wanted to go with American Gladiators or Double Dare rules, so we just combined the two together. It had to be a test of physical endurance as well as including some form of a ball pit. And you'd be surprised what you can do with cinder blocks, spare plywood, and chipping in $28 for parts, labor, and essential beer. I mean, you should have seen it. It was a thing of beauty. It had it all. It had the cargo net, the gumball machine ball pit slide, not to mention a tennis ball launcher for dramatic effect. And we were in the middle of the semifinals of the Ultimate Double Eliminator Dare Challenge, and who was waiting for us at the finish line after the human cannonball into the foam waffles? Why, none other than Malibu himself. Skeeter didn't even know the guy. He just kind of showed up and spent the afternoon telling us stories about Nitro's insecurities and teaching us the nuances on how to kick ourselves in the eyeball. And those are the types of surprises you welcome at Skeeter's house, because it's a hell of a lot more fun and a hell of a lot safer than a woman who thinks dressing up as a guy who stabs people is erotic.
Hell yeah!
I want to give a special thanks to the Bounty Board over on Patreon for helping to build that obstacle course and for keeping their cool in the presence of Malibu. Because if there's one thing we know about these guys, they will always keep their composure when hanging out with such an awesome specimen of a dude. All hail! And if you like stories like this, check out the Bounty Board over on Patreon, where I got tons of crazy stories from Skeeter's house, the Lock First, and other fun stuff that's only $5 a month to watch. The link's in the pinned comment down below if you want to check it out.
I want to talk about this comment right here because I get this comment all the time on my videos. I see it all the time in other women's videos, especially when they're talking about things that their partners do or that they hope that they change. And for me in particular, it's typically around the mental load and navigating a home together. And I share little stories about how we have shifted the dynamics in our relationships to be more equitable and fair. And I always find this comment so funny because I said that my husband used to use me like a personal reminders list. Like he would ask me to remind him of things all the time. And this person's like, why did you even marry him? Well, the obvious answer to why I married him was because he was a kind, thoughtful person who I loved spending time with and still do, right? That's why I married him.
Liar, liar, liar.
And maybe I should have had a conversation with him in our 20s about not using me like a personal reminders app. But here's the thing. We all come to relationships and marriage with different upbringings and understandings of what it looks like to be a person and a parent and a partner. And we have all had different things modeled for us along the way. And unfortunately, especially here in the US, but in many different places, men were not raised to carry the mental load or to show up in relationships in the same way that women were.
What's that, shit?
There's a shit smell. Is that you?
Smells like pop-pop.
Oh, Gladys, if you're gonna lie, can you at least put in some effort? We all know you didn't want to marry this guy. You clearly settled for him. We know this because you literally posted a video about how you wanted to divorce him because he forgot to take the trash out one time. You've also posted a video about how much you resented him for getting sick every once in a while, not to mention every single time that you bitch about having to think, and that's also somehow your husband's fault. You clearly don't love your husband. If anything, I would be so bold to say that you hate the poor bastard. Can you really blame us for thinking that way? Half of your content is you finding reasons to bash his good name. We all know this because if you truly loved him, you'd work with him and accept that men's minds operate differently than yours. Now, I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, Gladys, but dudes forget things from time to time. We have our own mental loads and things fall to the wayside every once in a while, so it's not asking too much for you to remind him of stuff from time to time. But in your eyes, every single time he forgets something, that's your cue to create a 3-minute long video complaining that he's not doing enough and how you're oppressed despite the fact that your kitchen is bigger than most studio apartments.
They just simply were not. And I have a partner who is able and willing to adjust and change. When I come to him and say, hey, this is frustrating, he changes. And that's why I married him. I married him because he's a kind, thoughtful person who wants to have a relationship that is thriving.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
He doesn't come to me and say, absolutely not, I'll never do that, never, no way. He says, oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was adding to your mental load by asking you to remind me. I will just use the reminders app going forward. Look at that. That's why I married him, because he's a kind, thoughtful person and it's not that hard to have these conversations. And
liar! Liar! Liar!
In so many different relationships, I have found myself throughout my life in friendships and with my own family saying, hey, can we adjust the way we're doing this? Like, it's not working for me and I don't think it's working for you either. Can we adjust it? And guess what? We do. I think that's the part about being a person that people don't get. Like, you can evolve, you can change, you can be better. And if you just write people off constantly, like, we get nowhere.
I'll believe that when my shit turns purple and smells like rainbow sherbet.
You know, Gladys, I hate to be the one to beat a dead horse here, but I can't see how your marriage is thriving when you literally admitted to almost divorcing your husband over the fact that he forgot to take out the garbage once. And I don't see how you can be happily married when you demanded your husband change for you because you can't handle having to adapt to the sensibilities to the man you claim to love. Your videos are all about how you're absolutely perfect, even though you're a ball-breaking tyrant, and you're not talking about adaptation and change anyway. You're talking about control, borderline dominion, Gladys. If your husband takes 30 minutes to get some peace, you'll rip into him for not folding the towels exactly to your specifications. And you keep saying things like, this is how we change and how we communicate, but what have you done to accommodate his sensibilities and his mental load? Not a damn thing. And that's because you choose to be a martyr to guilt trip your husband into constantly changing his behavior to try to reach a goalpost that you're always moving just to spite him. And it's kind of hard to have a thriving marriage when you turn the household into a living hell, Gladys.
Right, like, we're screaming from the rooftops about a male loneliness epidemic and how boys are struggling and men are struggling, and then people will be like, well, just leave him behind. Just leave him behind. And like, I get the urge. Believe me, I get the urge to just leave them behind. But I'm raising a son, and I hope that one day if somebody's dating him and he's doing something they don't love, that they can come to him and he's going to listen to them and absorb that and take that in and maybe adapt and maybe change and maybe show up differently next time. I hope for all of us that we can look at each other as people and not just a checklist. Because unfortunately, no matter what, in a relationship, even if you think on paper you have the best person in the whole world as your partner, I guarantee you along the way you're going to say, hey, I don't love the way you're doing this, or I don't love how we communicated that. Like, can we change? And I wish for all of us that we can have the capacity for that, to have these conversations, to have compassion for one another, and to grow together.
You know, you're really just full of shit. There's the John. Okay?
Gladys, the fact that you think your son needs to adapt and change to meet the standards of a woman he's dating just proves that you failed him as a mother. I mean, let's think about this for a second. You're not setting him up for success. You're just telling him the only way he can get anywhere in life is to be a spineless simp that will need to change everything about himself to be with a woman who won't respect him. You've pretty much told him that he's gonna have to walk on eggshells for his entire life because all women are oppressed and he's an evil little boy because he was born a male. You're neutering your own son, Gladys, and you're doing it not because you love him, but because you bought into this whole bullshit narrative that no matter how much you benefit, you are always the victim. And that's just a shameful way to raise a child, Gladys. You clearly don't love this kid, and you can't be bothered to impart with him some good life skills because you're too busy trying to make every single aspect of the lives around you about you. So sorry, Gladys, if you're gonna prove to us that you're a good person, try harder, because you're not getting anywhere by not trying at all. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and be sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you once again for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.